last time I saw Madeleine McCann, she was wearing pink pajamas. She had her little stuffed cat tucked under her arm. She looked up at me and smiled. 3 hours later, she was gone, and I have spent 17 years asking myself one question. Did I already see the man who took her? My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was there. May 2007, Praia da Luz, a small resort town on the Algarve coast of Portugal. The kind of place that looks exactly like a postcard. Pale yellow walls. Bougainvillea spilling over every fence. The Atlantic crashing against dark cliffs just a few minutes' walk away. We were a group of friends. Young couples, most of us with small children. The kind of holiday you plan for months. Cheap flights, a shared apartment complex, the Ocean Club Resort. We'd done it before. It felt safe. It felt like the most ordinary thing in the world. Kate and Jerry McCann were part of our group, 9 adults in total. We called ourselves the Tapas 9, not because it sounded dramatic, but because that's where we ate every evening. The Tapas bar, just across the pool from the apartment block. Close enough to see the windows. Close enough to hear a child cry. We told ourselves that a lot. Madeleine was 3 years old. She would have turned 4 on May the 12th. She disappeared on May the 3rd. Here's the thing that has haunted me about that week. The thing nobody outside of our group fully understood at the time. We had a system. The children slept in the apartments while we ate dinner. That's how it worked, every single night. The kids went to bed. We went to the Tapas bar, maybe 40 meters away, and we took turns checking on them. Every half hour, roughly. Someone would get up, walk across, listen at the door, sometimes go inside, then come back. It sounds irresponsible now. I know how it sounds. Believe me, I have heard every version of that judgment. But you have to understand, we were monitoring baby monitors at home in England. This felt the same. It felt controlled. It felt like parenting in a context that was entirely familiar to us. We were wrong. But that is not a simple sentence. On the night of May the 3rd, the checking rota was as follows. Jerry checked at 9:05 p.m. He went inside. He looked at the children, Madeleine, and the twins, Sean and Amelie, who were 2 years old. Everyone was asleep. Everything was fine. On his way back, he stopped to talk to a friend from the group, Jez Wilkins, near the pool gate. A normal conversation. A few minutes. Matthew checked at 9:30 p.m. for the group. He entered through the front door with a key. The children were fine. Kate checked at 10 p.m. And that is when everything ended. I need to tell you what the Tapas bar felt like that night, because atmosphere matters in this story. It was warm. It was Thursday. We were halfway through the holiday and the mood was light. Someone had gotten a sunburn. There was wine. There was laughter. The children had been a little difficult earlier in the day. The kind of tired irritable that comes from too much sun and too little nap. But by the time we sat down for dinner, all 9 of us, things felt settled. We were sitting outside under string lights. I remember looking across the pool more than once. I always did, not from anxiety, just from instinct, the kind of glance a parent gives. The window to apartment 5, faced a slightly different angle, but you could see the block. You could see the light in the stairwell. Jerry came back from his check in a good mood. "They're all out cold," he said. Something like that. He sat back down, picked up his glass. At around 9:15, I got up, not to check. I want to be completely clear about this. I got up to use the bathroom, which required walking toward the apartment complex. And that is when I saw him. A man, walking along the road that ran beside the apartment block. He was carrying a child. The child was limp, the way sleeping children go limp, all dead weight and dangling limbs. She was wearing light-colored pajamas. She had fair hair. I thought nothing of it. I assumed it was a father carrying his daughter back from somewhere. It was a resort. There were children everywhere. I walked past. I went to the bathroom. I came back to the table. I did not mention it. Kate left the table at 10 p.m. We were mid-conversation. I don't even remember what about. She got up, walked across, and the rest of us kept talking. She was gone for longer than usual. That is the first thing I noticed. Not alarm, just a small flicker. 3 minutes. 4 minutes. 5. And then she appeared at the entrance to the pool area. I can still see the way she moved. It was not running. It was something between running and not being able to run. Her arms were out slightly, like she was trying to keep her balance on a boat. And then I heard her voice. Madeleine's gone. Just those 2 words. But the way she said them, it was not a question. It was not, I can't find her. It was a declaration, a closing of a door. Madeleine's gone. And then she said something that I have never been able to shake, something that tells me, with everything in me, that Kate did not stage this moment, that Kate did not manufacture anything that night. She said, "They've taken her. Someone has taken her." Present tense. Certain. There was knowledge in those words that came from something she had seen in that room. I will tell you what Kate found. She entered to the front door. The twins were asleep in their cots. The room was quiet, but the door between the hallway and the children's bedroom, a door that Jerry had noted was ajar on his earlier check, was now fully open, pushed back against the wall. And the window in the bedroom was open. The shutter was raised from the outside. The pink blanket that Madeleine slept with, Cuddle Cat, she called it, was on the bed, but Madeleine was not. There's a detail that very few people talk about. The window in that room was not the kind that children can easily open from the inside. It had a specific mechanism, a lever, set fairly high, that required deliberate adult action. The window had been opened from the outside, and then closed partially, not latched, just rested back into a position that might, from a distance, look closed. Someone had planned an exit route, and then used it. The Portuguese police arrived at 11:10 p.m. The GNR, the National Republican Guard. What followed was, to put it as diplomatically as I can, a scene that no investigation should begin with. The apartment was entered by multiple people, neighbors, resort staff, our group. A crime scene that needed to be frozen was walked through, touched, breathed in by dozens of people before forensics arrived. Whether that was chaos or something else, that question has never fully been answered. 2 days after Madeleine disappeared, the investigators came to speak with me. I told them about the man I had seen, the man carrying the child. I described him. Medium height, dark hair, holding a child in pajamas, walking with purpose along the road that ran alongside the apartment block. They took notes. They thanked me. And then, over the following weeks, months, years, my account became one of the most scrutinized, questioned, and disputed pieces of testimony in the entire case. Another witness from our group said he had seen a man at approximately the same time near the same location, but carrying the child differently, cradled differently, facing a different direction. The 2 descriptions did not match cleanly. Were we describing the same man? 2 different men? Was one of us mistaken about the time? The Portuguese investigators, and later the British review team, could not reconcile the 2 accounts. I have thought about this, about what I saw, more times than I can count. And here's what I know. I saw a man carrying a child who was not awake. I saw light-colored pajamas. I saw fair hair. And I walked past. That is the sentence I live with. What happened next is a story that I think most people know the outline of, and very few people know the actual texture of. Robert Murat, a British man living near Praia da Luz, became the first official suspect, or arguido, under Portuguese law. His proximity to the investigation, his presence at the scene, his background, led police to focus on him intensely. He was eventually cleared. He is a private citizen, and I will not speculate further about him. In 2008, the Portuguese investigation was shelved. Cold case. File archived. In 2011, Scotland Yard opened Operation Grange, a review of all evidence, followed by a full investigation. They have spent more than £12 million. They have interviewed hundreds of witnesses across multiple countries. In 2022, a German man named Christian Bruckner was identified as the prime suspect by German prosecutors. He is a convicted sex offender. He lived in the Algarve at the time of Madeleine's disappearance. He drove a distinctive camper van. He has a pattern of crimes against children and women in the region dating back years. German prosecutors have stated they believe Madeleine is dead. They have not said where she is. They have not charged Bruckner in connection with this case because, and this is the detail that stops every conversation cold, they do not yet have sufficient evidence to bring charges that would survive a trial. As of the time this script was written, Christian Bruckner is serving a sentence in Germany for the rape of a 72-year-old American woman in Praia da Luz in 2005, 2 years before Madeleine disappeared. The same town, the same method of entering through a window. The McCann family, the way to surviving. He has made no admission. He has offered no location. He says nothing. I want to say something about Kate and Jerry, because they have been treated, in some quarters, in a way that I find genuinely difficult to process. They were made arguidos themselves in 2007. Suspects, under Portuguese law. That status carries implications that ripple through a family's life like a stone thrown into still water. The theory, which was never substantiated, never charged, never proven, was that Madeleine had died in the apartment and the parents had concealed it. I was there. I know these people. I watched Kate in the days after Madeleine disappeared, and what I watched was not the behavior of someone managing a cover story. What I watched was a woman coming apart at a cellular level and choosing, every single morning, to keep standing. They started the Find Madeleine Fund. They published a book. Kate wrote it herself. Every word. I have read it. I cannot tell you what it cost her. They have twin children who grew up with an empty space where their sister was. Sean and Amelie are in their 20s now. They know about the case. They have had to make peace, or find some version of peace, with an answer that does not yet exist. Jerry, in an interview some years ago, said something that has stayed with me. He said that not knowing is its own form of torture, because it means you cannot grieve properly. You cannot move forward or backward. You are permanently suspended in the moment of the disappearance, waiting for it to end. The window is still open, in a way. It has been open for 17 years. I still think about the man I saw on that road. I think about the way he walked. Purposeful. Not hurried, not panicked, purposeful. The way someone moves when they have a plan. I have described him to investigators more times than I can count. I have sat with forensic artists. I have looked at photographs. I have tried, with everything I have, to sharpen that image, and every time it blurs slightly at the edges. That is the cruelest thing about memory. It does not preserve itself for the moments when it matters most. It fades exactly when you need it to hold still. There's a photograph of Madeleine McCann that Kate carries everywhere. In the photograph, Madeleine is laughing at something just off camera. You can see it in her whole face. The abandon of a child who doesn't know yet that the world requires anything of her. Somewhere, someone knows what happened after I walked past on that road. Somewhere, someone knows where she is. They have lived with that knowledge for 17 years. And they have said nothing. If you know anything at all, the Operation Grange tip line is still open. The Find Madeleine campaign website is still active. Kate and Jerry are still asking. They will always be asking, because that is the only thing left to do when a window is open and no one knows who came through it.